The Jomon period is the key to understanding the world's ancient civilizations. The clay figures with the sunshades aren't aliens. Chapter 13. Jomon people knew the idea of Om from Vajrayana Buddhism.
When I heard that the wah that babies cry when they exhale on being born is the breath withdrawn by the ancestors, I was really surprised.
On the Jomon clay figures and the clay mask, you can see the representation of the breath of life. The clay figure concerns birth and is shown with an open mouth to represent exhaling the breath when a person is born. The clay mask concerns death and is shown closing the mouth to represent inhaling the breath when a person dies. And the breath that the clay figure exhaled is the same breath that the clay mask inhaled. It is generally said that the breath of Om was one of the teachings of Vajrayana Buddhism when it came to Japan in the Heian period, 794 to 1192. But in fact, Japan already had that idea since the Jomon period.
What is the idea of the breath of Om?
Om is the shape of the mouth when one is breathing. When you open the mouth to exhale, it is the beginning of all living things. That is to say, to humans, it represents the beginning of life. On the other hand, when you close your mouth to inhale, this is the ending all living things, and that represents death to humans. You could say the clay figure and the clay mask are representing exactly the and the
The two komainu or lion dogs in front of a jinja and the two statues of Neo or Kongori Kishi on each side of the gates of the Buddhist temples each have one with a mouth open in the shape of and the other closed in the shape of So these are also representing Om, right?
I'm glad you noticed. However, the important thing about the clay figure is that it is a woman clay figure, and the reason why she is opening her mouth wide is that this represents the beginning of life. But it is not the life of the woman, but the beginning of the life of the baby about to be born from the woman that is being shown here. And the reason for that is that the breath that the clay figure is exhaling from its mouth, reaching the womb via the umbilicus, was thought to birth a new baby.
So even though the baby exhales the breath saying, wah, that is not the beginning of the baby's life as it starts from the time that it is in the womb, right?
Exactly so. People of today think that life starts with the time the baby is born, and everyone starts counting its age from the day it came out. However, in Japan in the past, by the time the baby came out, it was already considered to be 1 year old. So now, if we say 3 years old, it used to be 4 years old, and 19 used to be 20.
By the way, in the clay mask, the mouth is opened in the shape of a triangle.
You are as sharp as a tack, Tabby. You are so observant. It is pursing its mouth in the shape of a triangle. And so which way is the triangle pointing?
The top is pointed, so it is pointing upwards.
That's right. There are many examples from earlier times in the Trident where the triangle has been used to represent the shape of a soul. A triangle pointing upwards shows a soul that is heading for the other world. In other words, a dead person. Ghosts that appear in Japanese cartoons and movies have cloths with triangles wrapped around their heads. Naturally, that triangle is also pointing upwards.
Now that you mention it, that's true. Conversely, are there souls who represent new lives coming down to this world with a triangle pointing downwards?
Of course. There is a clay figure which is a national treasure called the Masked Goddess, and her whole face is a downward pointing triangle. There are also clay figures with a downward pointing triangle on their bellies. Speaking of clay figure bellies, they are along the path of breath exhaled from the mouth of the clay figure down to the womb through the navel. These are good examples of triangles pointing in the opposite direction from the clay mask or a ghost's headband.
Perfect! Your explanation is almost too good to be true. You are really sharp today.
Nonsense. I'm always sharp.